Hello guys, how are you doing? Girls and boys, I hope you guys are staying safe. Well, we're going over 6.1 ratios. It's a comparison. A ratio is a comparison of two quantities by division. And so for instance, if you were to compare apples and oranges, tables and chairs, cars and trucks, that's basically figuring out ratios. There are three different ways ratios are written. The first one is the word form 5 to 6 as you see it over here, or 5 out of 6. You could also write it in a colon form 5:6, which it's actually read 5 over 6. Or you could write it in a fraction form 5 over 6. Sometimes you will see it in an algebra form a to b, a colon b, or a to b, a over b. So let's go over one of the problems. The parking lot has 5 cars for every 2 trucks. Write that as a ratio. Notice we have to write it as a ratio, so therefore cars come in first. The first thing mentioned is cars, so cars is in the numerator and trucks in the denominator. You could write it 5 to 2 or 5:2, 5 to 2 or 5 over 2. What if it asked you to write the ratio of trucks to cars? In that case, trucks comes in the numerator and cars in the denominator, 2 to 5 or 2 to 5, or as written here, 2 over 5. Alright, let's solve some problems. Let's go to the example 2. The bird store has 12 parrots and 13 pigeons. How would you write that? Yep. What is the ratio of parrots to pigeons? And so the parrots is in the numerators and pigeons in the denominator. That's 12 over 13. What is the ratio of parrots to the total number of birds? That is a pretty common way how these questions are asked. And so if that's the case, then you have a two-step solution. In it, you have to figure out the total number of birds. So in our case, parrots is in the numerator, and that's 12. And the denominator has 12 plus 13. So our fraction is 12 over 25. Now we have to express our answer in the simplest form. And the question is 5 out of 25 students scored 100%. So first, our fraction is 5 over 25. Clearly, we could simplify this and bring it to the simplest form. And to do that, we have to find the greatest common factor. In this case, the greatest common factor is 5. Therefore, we divide the numerator and the denominator by 5. And when we do that, we get 1 over 5. In our next example, we have 12 out of 20 ice cream flavors. We have to first write it in a fraction form. So there we have it, 12 over 20. And now we have to find the greatest common factor. In this, it is 4, and so we divide the numerator and denominator by 4. We get 3 over 5. In our next example, 21 out of 49 points. So we write it 21 over 49. And we find the greatest common factor, and we realize it's 7. 7 goes into the numerator 3 times and the denominator 7 times. So our fraction is 3 over 5. In our next problem, which is examples 6 and 7, it's pretty much the same, 6 oranges to 36 apples. And so we reduce it by the greatest common factor, 6 over 6, and we get 1 over 6 as our answer. In this case, we work it out and we get 1 over 4. Alright. In this unit, which is 6.2, lesson 6.2, we're working on unit rates. When a rate is simplified so that it has a denominator of 1, it's called a unit rate. Well, it's the ratio with 1 in the denominator. That's it. It's the ratio with 1 in the denominator. So 5 over 1, 13 over 1, 27 over 1. These are just examples where your denominator is always 1. Let's work out and see how this works. The speed limit is 120 kilometers / hour. 120 kilometers over 1 hour, and you read it as 120 kilometers per hour. In example 8, express each rate as a unit rate. So you have 16 uniforms for 4 students, and so first we start by writing it as a fraction. Then reduce it by dividing it with whatever the denominator is. So look, 16 over 4, we divide both the numerator and the denominator by 4, and we get 4 over 1. So 4 uniforms per student. In this example 9, we have $700 for 2 Nintendo Switch games. Let's say it's on sale, although right now it's selling for about $500 each Nintendo game. Yeah, so that's a jury. So 700 over 2, we divide the numerator and the denominator by 2, so our fraction is 350 over 1. That's 350 per Nintendo Switch game. In example 10, if a car traveled 168 miles in 4 hours, how far does the car travel in 1 hour? We start again by writing it as a fraction, then reducing it by dividing it with whatever the denominator is. In our case, it's 168 over 4, and we divide it by 4. We divide both the numerator and the denominator, and so we get the fraction 42 over 1. The car will travel 42 miles per hour. Alright, this is our closing humor, and folks, that's our lesson. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send us an email. Thank you, and have a good day.